Let's say Jason and Timmy both have been arrested for some minor crime. The police think they committed a more serious crime, but they don't have enough evidence to convict them. They take them and put them in separate rooms so they can talk and play a little game. To try to force a confession, the police give them each a choice. Confess that you committed a crime and you will go free. We will pardon you for the minor crime, but your partner will have to spend 5 years in prison. If you stay silent and your partner confess that you were the one who really did it, then you will have to go prison for 5 years. They know that the police don't have any evidence, and if they both stay silent, then they will only have to go prison for 1 year each for minor crime. If they betray each other, then they will go to prison for 5 years each. Each partner can do one or two things: stay silent or betray. Staying silent would be cooperating, and betraying would be defecting. If they both stay silent, they both get a year in prison. If one betrays and another stays silent, then the betrayer goes free and the silent spends 20 years in prison. If they both betray, then it's 5 years each. Well, they should cooperate. That's the best option for the group. If we add the total number of years in prison. But let's look at it from Jason's perspective. If he thinks that Timmy is going to betray, then he will stay silent so he can go free. Going free is better than a year in prison. If he thinks that Timmy is going to stay silent, then he will definitely stay silent. 20 years in jail is better than 1 year. Same goes with Timmy. They should both have cooperated, but from an individual standpoint, they notice that they could always gain by defecting. If they have no control over what the other person is going to do, they both defect to try to better their own situation. Come away not only hurting the group but themselves individually, they are worse off than if they cooperated.
Game theory was originally developed by American mathematician John von Neumann in the 1940s. And the prisoner's dilemma was originally framed by Mary Platt and Melvin Drescher while working at RAND in 1950. Albert W. Tucker, an American mathematician at Princeton University, then formalized the game with prison sentence, reward, and named it Prisoner's Dilemma. Tucker was awarded the John von Neumann Prize in 1980 for his contribution to game theory and linear and nonlinear optimization. The concept of the game theory is to conceive conflict and strategy in social situations and optimal decision making.
This concept is used in psychology, economy, sports, environmental study, etc. But let's look at it in an economic situation. Let's say two cigarette companies, Red Strike and Smooth Blue, are deciding how much money they should spend on advertising. Since the product they each make is identical to one another, advertising has a huge impact on sales. For simplicity, let's say that the choice are to advertise or not advertise at all. And there's 100 people in the society and they all smoke. If both don't advertise, then just by random chance picking cigarette boxes, 50 people buy Red Strikes and 50 people buy Smooth Blue. At $2 a pack, they each make $100. Let's say advertising costs $30. If one person advertises and the other does not, then 80 people will buy the cigarettes from the ads and 20 people will buy another one. And the advertiser makes $160 minus $30 for ads and comes away with $130. The non-advertiser didn't spend money but only make $40. If they both advertise, again, half will buy Red Strike and half will buy Smooth Blue. But since they both spend $30 on advertising, they only come away with only $70 each. Same deal, both people cooperating and not advertising is the most preferable situation, but both companies can see that advertising will always make them more money. From here, Blue will be better off if Red didn't advertise. Red wouldn't go for that because that would be worse for them. Blue could try to convince Red that they will both not advertise, the only other situation where they're better off, but without any real obligation to each other. There's nothing that's stopping them from trying to advertise to gain more of the market anyway. If you think your opponent is going to not advertise, you're better off advertising, although we're still making assumption to make the situation work too. Jason and Timmy decide to steal a chocolate from a little innocent girl. But they were caught by the police. Now they are arrested and being interrogated. They have no other witness and can only prove the case against themselves if they can convince at least one of their friends to betray he's a communist and testify to the crime. If they both cooperate and remain silent, then the authorities will only be able to convict them on a lesser charge resulting in 1 year in jail for each person. If Jason testifies and Taemin does not, then Jason who testified will go free and Taemin will serve 20 years because he remains silent. Same goes if Taemin confesses. Jason will go 20 years. However, if both testify against each other, each will get 5 years in jail for being partly responsible for the robbery. 5 years for Jason plus 5 years for Taemin equals to 10 years total jail time. Boom! Back to lecture time. In this case, each robber always has the incentive to defect, regardless of the choice the other make. From Jason's point of view, if Taemin remains silent, then Jason can either cooperate with Taemin or do 1 year in jail. Obviously, it will be better betraying Taemin in this case. But on the other hand, if Taemin defects and testifies against Jason, then Taemin's choice becomes either to remain silent or do 5 years in jail, or to talk and do 1 year in jail. Again, obviously, he would prefer to do 1 year over 5. In both cases, whether Jason cooperates with Taemin or defects to prosecution, Jason will be better off if himself defects and testifies. Now, since Taemin faces the exact same set of choice, he will always be better defecting as well. The paradox of prisoner dilemma is this: if both robbers can minimize the total jail time that the two of them will do, only if both cooperate and stay silent. 2 years in total. But if the incentive that they both each face separates and always will drive them each to defect and end up doing the maximum total jail time between two of them of 10 years in total. And this is our interview. Boom!
我觉得哈，我觉得应该用长远的那种，就是比较经济的，对，就是对自己有利，对别人也有利，就是说找比较最佳的途径。哪怕会牺牲一点自身的利益，但是从长远的观点来看，还是不错的。那就要稍微牺牲点自己的利益。因为人不可以太自私了。就是眼光放远一点。
Thank you, Erin. So, how do you think so?
So, according to game theory, which is the prisoner's dilemma, I think cooperating is important than individuals because working together can make more better results and it can help and encourage others to work better. But being individuals, it can give more risk and it can be bad situations for them, for individuals. So I think together is better than one.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
What do you think about this game theory?
I think this game theory tests how human selfishness in face of survival instincts clash with aspects of trust and human morals. Generally, we think it is most likely and it is morally appropriate that we both do not confess for the benefit of each other. However, I find this quite idealistic and just it doesn't work in reality because we have to consider that fear plays the most powerful weapon in this scenario. Fear that your partner will betray you drives you to making decisions, which is to confess. Therefore, I think it is most likely that both you and your partner will confess. If we apply this in real world, real life situations, when we make major decisions, I think it is most likely that we put ourselves in top priority and we make decisions that are sacrificing others for your own benefits. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Conclusion: why is it important?